Everyone, in this video we'll learn how to work with lights in Blender for a studio style render like this. Today we'll learn how to set up lightings, to set up reflections, how to make those shadows. As we can see here, there are many lighting sources that we can see on reflections. For example, from here, from here, there are also internal lighting sources. Like here we can see clear the lighting source that is coming from the product itself, like from here and from here. Also, we'll learn how to make composite in Blender, how to use it, and why we need to do it. Okay, first thing we need to do is to add a background to our render. Add the plane. Rotate it to 90 degrees and put it behind our product. Like this. See if it fits. Add a material here. And add color ramp node. Next we need to add a gradient node. And select quadratic sphere to make a radial gradient here, as you see on the render. Next we need to add lighting sources. We'll use emission planes for this. To have more control over our lighting reflections. Add the emission plane, drag it behind, add material, and add emission. Here we can modify the emission plane. We can make emission as strong as we want. As we see on this render, we have a gradient. As we see on the render, we have more smooth transaction between shadows and light. We can replicate this on our emission planes by using gradient tool, by using color ramp to control the intensity. add colorant node and connect it to the color. Next we need to add a texture coordinate and also connect this. To have more control over our lighting sources, we can use map node. I usually use multiply as it works better for lighting control. As we see here, this goes diagonal and we can fix it. Add mapping node and rotate it to minus 45 degrees. Here we can see that this light is more soft here, but as we can see on the image, there is a transaction and there is also lighting source right here. That's why we'll need to make such gradient. Increase the strength of the emission plane for about 3.5, maybe 4, just as on our reference photo.
My heart rages around like an ocean in my head, because there are so many things that I left unsaid.
Next we need to add another lighting source that is placed to the left side of our product, as we see on our image. It will be not as intensive as the front one, but we need to add it to make more studio style look. For the material, emission,
My heart rages around like an ocean in my head.
If we need, we can also use gradient to control our strength or exposure of this lighting source. There's also a lighting source to the right side.
Messing with my head again. You had your heart set on me, but these feels they come and go, and they come so easily. Tell me what it is about you that I can't forget, but you're breaking down my walls again just to set me free. Why do I, baby, why do I love the way you always leave me? Why do I, baby, why do I love the touch but never love the feel?
The next layer of our lighting will be the reflections create. We'll need to add a plane, drag it down like this, and extrude it upwards like this. Here we can see that most reflections are more lighter, more shadows are more lighter, so we need to regulate it. To achieve it, to regulate it, we can extend our reflection room like this. First thing we need to look at is to choose what view transform we can use. For example, I will use AJX. There are also many types of transformers like false color or raw or filmic, but I will use AJX because it gives more natural contrast and brightness combination. Here we can play around with exposure. Here I set to around 1.5, 0.5, and gamma we can set to around 0.9 or 0.6. It doesn't matter. Now I want you to go to render. Now I want to go to render and press render image to start rendering. To set up our render, we need to go to render section. First thing we need to look at is the device we'll use to proceed our render. I'll use GPU as on my computer it is more powerful device than a CPU, but you can use whatever you want. Next, I would prefer to minimize the max samples. I would choose around 2048. I'll choose 2048 samples. The next place I'll look at is the light path section, as it is calculating how many lighting rays it will process. For example, we can see here that our product is very glossy. That's why I need to increase our glossy bounces. For example, I would put 8 or 10, and the other ones, as you see here, there is absolutely no transparent material, so we can decrease it. And diffuse we can also add. Okay, now I want you to go to render and press render image to start our render. After we finished our rendering process, we can go to compositing. Here we can see our render layers and composite nodes. Next, what we want to do is to add another node called viewer, so we can see here our render, so we can in real time adjust some settings. Next, for simplify our project, you can go to layout, reroute, and connect those both nodes like this. Next, go to backdrop, and here we can see our render. We can zoom out this a little bit, and next we're gonna start adjusting our contrast and brightness. Search for contrast and brightness node right here. Adjust it. I will put around 2 or 1.9 to this, and brightness to around 1.4 or 0.9. Next, we're adjusting our hue saturation. We want our colors to be a little bit less saturated, so it looks more professional. Next, we're changing our hue node. I will make it a little bit more like this, and adjust belly node. Here we can see what we get from this node. There are some some glares like here we can see. We can adjust its how intense they are by increasing streaks. I would put 2 or 3. I think that's enough. And how many iterations? It's very important. And this is it for today. I hope you found this video very useful for you. I would love to read your comments about what should I do next, and see you in the next video.